Tequila Patron. One of the biggest tequila brands on the planet, one of the biggest consumer brands on the planet. Everyone knows Patron. I've talked about really obscure brands. I've talked about really popular brands that are really not that great and that are really overrated. But I've never really talked about Patron. And Patron is the third largest tequila producer today behind Jose Cuervo and Don Julio. And even though they are usually lumped into the same conversation, do I think that Patron is overrated? What are my actual thoughts on this product? All right, let's get right into it. So like I said, Patron is the third largest producer of tequila on the planet. They produce 3.5 million 9-liter cases a year. So if my math is right, that means that they make about 31,500,000 liters a year, but their bottles are 750s. And so they make 42 million of these bottles a year. Now, just for some context, there is another brand that I love to talk about on this channel. I'm not gonna name them, but they are a beloved brand. Everyone is after them and they can't seem to find it, but they, from what someone told me, they make about 80,000 liters a year. So just for comparison's sake, 42 million bottles to 80,000 liters. Just to give you a scale of how much Patron produces in a year. So let's talk a little bit about my original assumptions about Patron. So as a bartender, I've always heard about how much Patron had done for the bartending community. They hold a pretty prestigious yearly competition at their Hacienda for bartenders from around the world, and they'll fly bartenders from around the world to compete in this competition. It's one of the most highly sought after prizes in the bartending world. And they're also pretty active in local events for bartenders as well. Patron is a little bit different than other brands. They're not like Jose Cuervo or Don Julio, who have been around for hundreds of years. No, the brand was founded in 1989. So they've only really been around for like 30 something years. So I recently got the chance to go down to the Hacienda Patron, where they make all of this crazy amounts of tequila with other content creators, and we got to really experience some amazing things down there. We got to visit the distillery, meet their master distiller, and learn a whole bunch about Mexican mixology while we were down there. We got to go through their whole process from field to bottling to experience every little thing about how Patron is made. And I can already hear you guys in the comments, oh, of course Louis is making this video. They're paying him to do so. They flew him down there. But full disclosure, they did not pay me. This is not sponsored, but they did fly myself and other content creators down there. But they do not have any control or influence on anything that I am saying in this video. I think that talking about Patron is really important because we can't talk about the current state of tequila without acknowledging what Patron is. But I do think it's important to disclose that they did fly us down there and get to spend a couple of days with them. So I landed in Guadalajara and we got picked up in the Patron bus, and then we were on our way to the legendary Hacienda. It was like a scene from Jurassic Park. These big, beautiful gates open up and reveal this world of wonder where you're simultaneously in awe and also not quite sure if there is a velociraptor lurking around the corner.
This is crazy. This place is actually insane. It's like a castle. It's like Disneyland meets a castle, but for tequila. It's like Cinderella's castle, but with tequila. My brain's not working. I can't come up with better metaphors. I'm sorry.
Once we got settled into our guest rooms, we then got to sit in on one of the big reasons for this trip to learn about Mexican mixology. We went through a whole presentation about Mexican spirits, where they come from, and even the pre-distilled alcoholic beverages of Mexico, such as pulque, posh, and a few others. And this trend of Mexican mixology carried itself through the whole few days that we were there. We were joined by Isaac, who is one of the best bartenders in all of Guadalajara. We got to attend a seminar by Aba Flores, one of the most respected bartenders in the entire country, and we got to listen to her as she broke down Mexican flavors. We tried different fruits and flavors from Mexico and heard about the trials and tribulations of being a Mexican bartender. And we even got to experience some of Guadalajara's best bars, one of which is currently ranked number 14th in the world. So let's finally talk about Patron. Like I said, Patron was founded in 1989 by a billionaire and his friend, the guy behind Paul Mitchell Systems, which is like a hair, beauty, healthcare thing. I don't know what it is, but the dude was a millionaire, he was rich. But in that short time, at least by tequila standards, Patron was able to grow from nothing to the third largest brand in the world. One of the fascinating things about Patron is that when they launched, they were one of the first, if not the first brand to actually feature where it says 100% de agave on the bottle. Prior to that, the market was dominated by mistos or gold tequilas, and it wasn't really common, at least on a large scale, to see a brand actually put that on a label, which is interesting because they are the pioneers of that. Like, that's something that you can't take away from them. And another interesting thing about them is that when they launched, they were actually made at the Siete Leguas distillery. And they were made there for, I think, almost like 14 years before they actually built the Hacienda. And when they actually finally got around to building the Hacienda, they basically kind of copied the layout and style of everything that they were doing at Siete Leguas. They then had a boom in the 2000s, and then in 2019, the original owners of Patron sold to Bacardi for $5 billion. And all of that's really cool, right? The history there, I kind of give you an abridged version, but what about what's in the actual bottle? What is it like? What are the flavor notes? All right, let's pop it open and give it a taste. On the nose, I get a lot of roasted agave, some black pepper, and a little bit of citrus. And obviously you get some of that alcohol aroma kind of right in your nose. Obviously it's alcohol. So on the palate, you get that cooked agave, you get some of that black pepper, you get a lot of that alcohol flavor there. It's very iconic Patron flavor. But what I don't taste is any additives, I don't taste any fake flavors, I don't taste any artificial flavors. Overall, it's pretty decent. It's pretty good. It's very serviceable. I think it makes great drinks, and I think it's quite tasty. And this is where we should really talk about how they make Patron. One of the things that we talk a lot about with a lot of different tequilas is that they are made with tahona. I've made a whole video recently about the importance of a tahona. Siete Leguas has a tahona. Fortaleza has a tahona. It's usually a sign of like a tequila being made the right way. Something that I don't think a lot of people know is that Patron actually has, in active function, more tahonas than the rest of the tequila industry put together. If I'm not mistaken, I think they have like 11 or 12 tahonas. I think there's only like 18 in the whole tequila industry. The rest of them are crushing their agave in another way. And their regular Blanco is actually made with a blend of 50% tahona-crushed agave tequila and 50% roller mill crushed agave tequila. Then they blend that together to make the Patron Blanco. And I don't know if enough people know that, but they are the largest producer of tahona-made tequilas in all of Mexico. I actually got to sit and do a tasting with two different types of their tequilas, the one that was just made with tahona and the one that was just made with the roller mill. Personally, out of all of the four that we tried, I loved the tahona experience. I wish that they would just release a product that was just a tahona crushed Blanco. I think it would be amazing. It would do really well. And one thing that I find fascinating is that back in November of 2023, they launched kind of their own sticker that was like, oh, like confirmed additive-free, kind of outside of Tequila Matchmaker, which got a little spicy because right after they announced it, like the following day, the CRT basically came out guns blazing against them and then against everybody else who was putting stickers on their bottles, which I've actually gotten a couple of questions on why you're not seeing the Tequila Matchmaker stickers on bottles anymore. It's because the CRT went pretty crazy against it. And so they had to remove that sticker off of them. So if you might ask, oh, are they confirmed additive-free by Tequila Matchmaker? They are not. They are not on their website as part of the confirmed additive-free alliance, but that doesn't mean that they use additives. I've been there, you can trust me if you want. I did not witness them, using any of that. Everything that I've tasted has tasted very clean, even their aged expressions. Sure, is it possible that maybe they did kind of in secrecy? It's a very giant place. Maybe, but that's kind of conspiracy theory in my opinion. I think that they are making a very clean product. But it kind of extends a little bit further past the way that they make their tequila. Because while I knew their impact on the bartending community, one of the things I didn't really know and I actually got to see quite a bit of on this trip was the impact that Patron has on its local community and how the people that actually help make this product. So Patron doesn't really own any agave fields, and actually almost all of the agave that they use in their daily production comes from farmers that they have a long-standing contract with. For example, the price of agave a few years ago was at an all-time high, and now it's back down to like 9 pesos a kilo or something like that. And so they actually have a fixed price contract with all of the farmers that they work with, meaning that they pay them a very fair price for the agave that they use. On top of that, while they are the third largest producer of tequila in Mexico, they are the #1 employer of people making tequila. Someone was telling me that one of the larger companies than them only employs about 500 people in the tequila production side. Patron employs about 2,400 employees on the production side. And it makes sense given how much they're actually going through to make this product. And I haven't really touched upon yet the lengths that they go through to be more sustainable. So on the one hand, they have their own water processing plant on site to be able to recycle and reuse the water that they use in their tequila production, as well as an entire composting area where they take their agave fibers and turn it into compost. It's absolutely massive. And so overall, the question that we were trying to answer is Patron overrated? Well, I don't think Patron should be considered in the same category as Don Julio or Jose Cuervo or Casamigos for that matter. And I think that they actually don't get the respect that maybe they deserve from being such a big brand. Now, am I sitting here telling you that I think Patron is the best tequila on the planet? No. Am I going to tell you that Patron makes it in my top 5 favorite tequilas of all time? No. Top 10? Probably not. But I can't deny what they are doing at such a large scale with doing it the right way. I've been someone who's talked about making products the right way, and from what I've seen from my personal experience, they are doing that. And truthfully, the fact that they are able to produce a consistent product at that volume year in and year out, it should be applauded. Like it's such a crazy giant Disney World level of production that it's actually nuts that their product is so consistent. Every year that you buy Patron, it's gonna taste the same, because they have basically turned it down into a science. And one of the questions that I get all the time is, oh, but Louis, these tequilas that you recommend, I can't find them anywhere. Well, you know what you can find everywhere that is actually pretty decent? Patron.